Hey, 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 goodness to you. It's Sporty King. And I always say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Look, we've got less than 2 minutes to go before I hit with today's message, but I always like to come tech tip in case it's somebody's first time or someone may need a reminder. I always like to come on 2 to 3 minutes early to give people a chance to shut things down. Because sure, you may have been planning on joining the conversation while it was live, but hey, you got other stuff going on. And so maybe you got going and it's, oh my God, I forgot Sporty's on. Not that you had to get it from the first note, but just idiosyncrasies, things we need to do. But I also do that because I like to practice doing that in my real life as well. It's not always about I'm not big on saying okay, well, it's 1 o'clock. Let's wait for more people to get here. No, I start at 1. And then today I'm actually starting at 1, but normally my gift Friday is at 11. But hey, I was being a good citizen today. I went to my training. I worked the polls in November for the election. So I was going to my training. I went to my training session today, and I've been doing it, wow, for over 8 years now. So yeah, I think over 8 years. So I actually get to go to a special training for people who've been doing it 6+ times. So it's just a little different. But let me know where you're looking in from. And we got less than 30 seconds before we hit today's message. So I see somebody came on, so I say goodness to you because you're watching in the afternoon. So good afternoon. All right. But that's the options that we have. So um, it is now time for the message. So let's get rolling. So I like to say, welcome, 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 welcome to Gift Friday. I named it Gift Friday because so often we hear people say TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. But I say, what allure does Friday have to the person who took their last breath on Thursday? Right? So, or any day before that, for that matter. So I use what I learned through Psalm 92:2, and that is, it is good to proclaim your unfailing love in the morning, your faithfulness in the evening. And therefore, instead of using TGIF, I use TGIT. Not thank God it's Thursday, but thank God it's today. And then TGIT, thank God it's tonight, which also allows me to bring in one of my other favorite scriptural sayings. Oh, no, scripture's not a saying. Other favorite scriptures. That's Matthew 34:2. And that is, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worry. Thank God it's tonight. Each day has enough trouble for itself. Thank God it's today, because darkness always precedes the light. Thus, what we can do is have a different meaning for TGIF, and that is, trusting God is free. Think about it. What does it cost you to get the most important blessing of every day? And that is the gift of waking up. Even with that, what we can then do is do some mathematics, right? Let's subtract and add. Let's subtract and move the T from in front of TGIF and move it to the end. And then what we get and we add, what we then get is, and then we add it to the GIF. And then what we get is what we should be giving God thanks for all the time. And that is the gift, GIFT. God is for today. Gift Friday is the online sharing of one of my original poetic messages or inspirational sayings to help you use to uplift a group, a job, a person, or even yourself. Because sometimes our uplifting has to come from us first before we can move on to share it with others. But here you hear me read and share this week's gift. Then I'll drop the poem or the message in the thread in Facebook or LinkedIn, and you can download your own colorful PNG copy. Okay. So that's what you'll get. But this week's poem, as I mentioned in the intro, is ideal for sharing with my belief that I don't believe Friday the 13th is an unlucky day, because one of my pet philosophies, first of all, yeah, I don't believe in luck. That's the main thing. One of my pet philosophies is I don't believe in luck. Instead, I'm thankful for the self-confidence that says I'm good and deserve to be rewarded by virtue of my hard work. Yeah. So when I used to introduce this poem when I'm live at school, I say sometimes I wish I were lucky, and people and I say, because I don't believe in luck. I'm good. I know how good I am. And some people say, well, what are you just self-centered and conceited? I said, no, I'm self-confident and convinced. I know how good I am. And that's what I want to say to you. Be thankful for the self-confidence that says I'm good and I deserve to be rewarded by virtue of my hard work. This week's gift poem will make that case and remind you that success will never be about being lucky. See, to get where you're meant to go, not where you want to go, or not where you are or where you want to go, you have to see yourself as being worthy and good enough. Because part of what you have to do is decide what you're going to do to grow from there when you get there. So realize that you could be there already, and you may need to just be at peace with your place of power. I found something that kind of broke it down. It says to think more highly of ourselves than we ought to is pride. But to think less of ourselves than we ought to is false humility. In one sense, that can be pride. In one sense, that can be pride too. See, pride in our supposed humility. In between, there is an honest appraisal of our own worth, and that is self-esteem. The Bible's message is simple. God values us highly because he loves us deeply. But we must not think we are sufficient without God. Our sufficiency is in the Lord. Our value is tied to the value he places in us. That makes us people of great value indeed. Because of God's power within us, we are capable of doing far more than most of us have dared to dream. So allow God to work through you to accomplish great things for him. Recognize that goodness is not merely being good at something, like she's good at painting, but goodness is being like God. It's doing something positive that exhibits our likeness to God because we are made in the image. The Bible says that when we say, I want to be good, we are really saying, I want to be like God because I was made in the image of God. So today's gift is from my book, I Found Out I'm Dying, a celebration of life. It's a storyline in poetry about living this gift called life. It's not at all about dying. And sometimes it tricks people to make us look at it in life. We look at the headlines. I did a post about this the other day. The headlines would distract us from the real issue. The subtitle is what the book is about, a celebration of life. I found out I'm dying. I know that physically I've been dying from the day I was born, and so have you. Get over it. So I found that out. So that's why I'm spending my days living more so than worrying about dying. And the poem is called Sometimes I Wish I Were Lucky. And it's always been my favorite poem for closing an event as my sincere thanks to those in the audience. I believe that the majority of them feel my sincerity. Yet, as the poem suggests, how you see yourself impacts how you receive your messages. And that will always determine who you choose as your messenger. And one of the things I like most about this poem is how I mentioned it earlier, how some may consider me self-centered and conceited. And I have to inform them that instead I'm self-confident and convinced. I'm convinced that I'm good. In fact, I know how good I am, and so should you. How much more of an asset will you be to the ones you love when you know how good you are? And think about it. Do you want the lucky doctor when they roll you in on that ER table? Do you want the lucky dentist when it's time to numb your gums? And I got to laugh because I just thought about one of the generals in the South Carolina Army National Guard when I said, "Do you want the lucky doctor when they roll you in on the ER table?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "Better lucky than somebody that doesn't know what they're doing." So there's another way of looking at it as well. But think about it. Will you get hired when you say, "Well, I think I can probably figure out a way if the moon is in Mercury because I'm a Virgo and somehow feel like there's a really, really, really good chance that things will fall into the place and timing will be, just right for me to luck up and get the job done?" No, no, you have to say, "I'm good." And so, what I want you to remember is that you're not lucky to be in a relationship. You've always been good enough to be loved. You've never been lucky to pass a test. You've always been good enough to get an education. You've never been lucky to have a job. You've always been good enough to be gainfully productive. You're not even lucky to make the team. You've always been good enough to be in the game. And you're not lucky to be alive. You're good enough to enjoy this gift of life. And lastly, you are not lucky to find God. You're good enough to be blessed that God has never given up on you. So this is sometimes I wish I were lucky. You see, sometimes I wish I were lucky instead of just so good. If I could just be lucky, I might share my luck. No, in fact, I know I would. Now, some people say that I'm lucky. I correct them and remind them that I'm blessed. I'm spiritual, fortunate, in tune with myself. Nothing outweighs my thirst for happiness. You see, luck itself doesn't last. It provides a glimmer of hope or chance. Luck forces you to take risks. Being blessed allows you to take a stand. Luck can give you that on top of the world feeling, that instant fix of elation. Being fortunate keeps you on top of the world and allows you to enjoy the sensation. Spirituality is such a popular thing now, but it means much more than meets the eye. If you get lucky enough to get spiritual, hold on, don't let that spirit die. If you get lucky enough to find yourself, enjoy the challenge of introspection, realize its value toward your growth. Understand that you're supposed to have success. Your purpose is ordained. You must choose to lead a prosperous life. You must make sunshine out of rain. But I must admit, sometimes I wish I were lucky instead of just so good. But would I stand out from the rest? If you're lucky, you can be in good company. When you're blessed, you can be with the best. And that's what you have to recognize. The most important you can or will ever be the best at is being yourself. This is another good chance for you to commit to and work on being your best. Remember to forgive yourself and realize that sometimes your best is not as powerful or potent as it was yesterday. Sometimes your 100% differs according to your given surroundings. Yet, even when it's at 80%, give 100% of your 80. And always remember that being you is the essence of your gift because God is for today. If you like a copy of the poem, Sometimes I Wish I Were Lucky, I'm going to drop it in the feed in Facebook and in LinkedIn. And if you like a copy of the book, I Found Out I'm Dying, A Celebration of Life, you can get that at my website, sportyking.com. Whichever you do, I'm glad to hear from you. And let me know where you're viewing in from, even if you're watching the video. Thank you. God bless you and have a wonderful week. Over and out.